is file 24-03053SC, a small claims case, Casildo versus Casillo. You guys are both here for small claims case. What small claims case means is that we're trying to get this done without any attorneys. Parties are unrepresented, and no one is asking for a jury trial. You're asking for this to be decided right here by me. So first things first, if you are ready and willing to proceed here in front of me, I'm going to swear you both in. Victoria, I can see you. Jenna, I cannot. But I would ask you to raise your right hand the same way I'm going to ask Victoria to raise her right hand. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you'd give here today would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear, yes.
I do.
Okay. So this might go a lot faster if I just start with you. Jenna, are you here contesting that you owe $3,000 to Victoria, or is it more about how and when you'd be able to pay that?
I am here contesting this, yes.
Okay. Well, it seems to me that this is, you guys are all related, and that the $3,000 was paid to you on the premise that you were going to have some surgery and you needed some financial help during that recovery process. And then for some reason, the surgery was canceled, and that you said, oh, okay, I'm going to pay you the $3,000 back. You wrote a check and you sent it to them. And then before they cashed it, that account came up non-sufficient funds and they weren't able to cash the check. Victoria, I just want to ask you, is that a correct sort of summation of your point of view of what's happening here?
Yes, that is correct, sir.
All right. So Jenna, if they can't cash the $3,000 check, don't you still owe them the $3,000?
Your Honor, under those circumstances, cut and dry, yes, that would be the case.
So I'll give you a chance to explain to me why it is you don't think you have to pay that money back.
Okay. Currently, right now?
Yes, ma'am. This seemed to me a pretty cut and dry case. So before I make any decisions, I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me why it is not cut and dry case that they were gifting you $3,000 to help you out. You didn't need the help for the reason that was stated, and you attempted to pay them back, but it was NSF, and so you would have to pay them back a different way.
Yep, I understand that, Your Honor. First off, thank you for listening to our case today.
It's my job. You can go ahead and speed it up. I don't need things like that, but I appreciate it.
On August 15th, there was a check written to my current husband. We are currently going through a divorce process, written only to him, not to both of us. It was for
But you're married,
childcare.
ma'am, right? At that time?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
We were.
So,
yep.
So it doesn't matter who the check was written to, if you're married, just so you know.
Okay. Okay. So the check was written to him. He signed it. It was put in our joint banking account. I explained to Victoria when the procedure was not going to be continued why, and we sent her back out of our joint account the check.
Yep, I'm up to date with you right now. I got that far. Go ahead.
She received the check. She herself said she doesn't use mobile deposit on her phone, but she knows it exists and was going out of town. In the meantime, everything came to our head in our marriage, in our personal world. It was not intended for the check not to clear. There was full intention of her being able to cash the check.
Ma'am, let me cut you off. Are you trying to say that she should be suing your soon-to-be ex-husband and not you?
I'm saying that I had to leave our family home because of domestic violence along with other issues. And I was instructed by my lawyer to remove funds from our joint bank account after I had left the home.
Okay, but ma'am, why does that mean that you would not owe her the $3,000?
Because this was for our family. This wasn't written for me. This was written for childcare because I was going to be unable to pick up our small children.
That didn't happen. So
That
why
didn't
would you not
happen.
owe the $3,000 back?
Why would I owe all of it? She should be suing
Ma'am.
both myself and Joel. If this
And
is
what
the
you
case.
could do here is turn around and sue your husband, I guess. But Victoria is entitled to a full $3,000 judgment from you. You're who this agreement was with.
No, the check was written solely to Joel. It was not written to
Ma'am,
both of
you're
us.
married. That's neither here nor there.
That's right. We were married and still are married, so it should be from both of us, not just me for the $3,000.
You can say that, ma'am. You're what's called joint and severally liable. In other words, you don't both owe her $3,000, but one of you or both of you owe her $3,000. So I would order whoever she chooses to sue, i.e. you, that you owe her $3,000. Now you could turn around and be a plaintiff and sue your husband for whatever you think is fair, $1,500 of that $3,000. That's something for you guys to work out in divorce proceedings. But unless you're going to tell me something we have not talked about yet, you would be ordered to pay that full $3,000 plus the $82 in costs to Victoria. Okay?
When I was told by my legal team to remove funds from our joint account because we had to leave the family home because of domestic violence.
But I guarantee you didn't tell the lawyer, oh, by the way, I have a check outstanding or a debt I owed, and if I take all the money out of the account, it'll bounce. I'm sure you didn't tell him that. So I don't know what your, ma'am, I don't know what your lawyers told you, and you can go talk to them and they'll explain to you a different way. What I'm explaining to you is that in no way, shape, or form would affect whether or not you owe this money back to Victoria. Now, your soon-to-be ex-husband might owe his fair share of that $3,000, but that is not for me to do here in small claims. He's a third party to this. She is suing you. She has a legitimate and legal reason to sue you, and I see no reason to not grant her that full judgment. All right. So my judgment is for $3,000 in damages, and then I can explain to you, Jenna. Victoria also had to pay certain monies out of pocket to get us here today. She had to pay a filing fee to court, and she had to pay to have you served. That cost her $82. She is also able to get that back. It's what we call costs as opposed to damages. I just wanted you to understand where that extra $82 comes when you see this judgment, because the judgment will be for $3,082. You'll both get a copy of this judgment in the mail. If either one of you, although I'm not sure why Victoria would appeal, but Jenna, if you wish to appeal my decision, you must do so within 7 days of today's date, and you must do so in writing. Then it will go back in front of the district court judges. You understand your rights on appeal?
Yes, sir, I do. May I make another statement to you?
You can, but the decision is rendered, but go ahead and say what you want to say.
Victoria Gasidlo is suing me when I have been a stay-at-home mother for our 3 children under 5, and my current husband was the sole breadwinner of our family. So she's suing someone that is a stay-at-home mom with no income since September.
I mean, you can say that. It seems more like one family member has been consistently helping out another family member who sort of always needs help, and she agreed to do that. And then when you kind of bait and switched what you needed the money for, she never got paid back all the way till she had to sue a family member in small claims court. That's a different way to look at it, but
I'm sorry, that is the way that this is coming off.
All right. So we're all set. You understand your rights on appeal. You'll both get copies of the judgment in the mail. Thank you. I'm going to release parties.
Thank you very much, sir, Your Honor.
I think this judge is one of the most patient judges I've ever seen on YouTube. he sits there and listens to that bull day in and day out and just goes over that and just lays it out there. Thank you, Nancy, so much. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you came out tonight, Nancy, and everyone else. Thanks for coming out. I canceled about an hour ago because work was crashing down, and I didn't think it was going to happen. And then I was able to get it cleared up, and Fozzie kind of grabbed me by the neck and put me in the right direction. So everybody thank Fozzie for forcing us to do a show tonight. It looked like Biggin was. I thought I saw something saying that he was dealing with something with the snow and stuff. And if you're in the snow, stay out of it. If you're able to be near a beach, be near a beach. We got quite a few different judges today. We got Judge Simpson, Judge O'Donnell, Judge Hayward, Judge DeSanto. Of course, we got Judge Fleischer. So let's go jump over to Judge Hayward in Clayton County, Georgia.
In the courtroom, Mr. Taylor, can you turn can you angle the camera so that I can see Miss Day? Because I'm just seeing the tops of people's heads. Oh, that's perfect. All right. So Miss Day, do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Miss Day, you're before the court for a petition for revocation of probation. This is a 2020 CR 02905 case. Kimberly Bianca Day, you were before this court for driving under the influence on the 20th day of February 2024. You were sentenced to 12 months on probation. You have 1 month and 11 days remaining. You failed to complete 40 hours of community service. You failed to provide proof of completing a level 1 program for treatment, and you are currently $1,440 in arrears. All right, Mr. Taylor, tell me why Ms. Day hasn't done the community service and the treatment program, which if you have a child, you should have been running to get to a treatment program so you can be a better mother.
Your Honor, Ms. Day has completed the community service and she's provided proof of completing that community service to Mr. Carmichael.
All 40 hours?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
We do admit that Ms. Day has not completed the
ASMA level 1 course.
That's not the DUI risk reduction. That's the analysis for the treatment.
No, they did a substance abuse evaluation, and the evaluator said that she needed additional treatment support. And instead of getting the treatment support, she shows up here with her baby like I won't put her in jail and call DFACS to come get her child.
Your Honor, when speaking with Ms. Day, she indicated to me that she was having some financial difficulties with arranging for that ASAM treatment. She does tell me that she can, her father is willing to assist her with the payment for that program. And I told her she would need to get into that program immediately this week if she is given the opportunity to remain outside of custody. The final obligation that she had is a financial obligation that she's been unable to pay, again, due to.
Okay, Ms. Day, if you are working in conjunction with your probation officer, which I encourage everybody to do, then some of this money would have been turned into additional community service hours. But since you waited to the last minute to do the ordered community service hours, you wouldn't have had time to convert some of the money into additional community service. And I'm not sure if you were having financial problems, you knew you were having financial problems 11 months ago. 10 months ago, while we wait until the last minute to come in and say, I can't do the recommended treatment. So not everybody gets a recommendation for a treatment level. That means you actually need it. They've done an assessment and you are a risk to people. Therefore, they've required you to go to treatment. You can roll your eyes if you want to, but you have a baby. So think about the fact that you put people's lives in jeopardy when you drove drunk the first time. And now they've recommended that you need additional treatment support. But instead of doing that, you come in here sporting your baby like she's some badge that, like I said, will keep me from putting you in jail. Ma'am, I'm a judge today. I'm a mama when I get home. So no, Mr. Taylor, I need to hear from her why slacking on doing what we need to do. Because they have recognized that she got a problem. Ms. Day?
Yes, ma'am. Are you asking, which part are we asking?
I'm asking why you before the court not having done what you know you needed to do.
Just been struggling. I'm sorry.
No, ma'am, no. No. Everybody's struggling. No. Everybody's struggling. So tell me why you couldn't go to counseling over 10 months. Miss, let me just tell you something. You can go tell somebody, look, I'll help you organize your closets. Pay me $50. I'll help you clean out your garage. Pay me $50. You can make money in a myriad number of ways. You have been eating and surviving and moving through life for the last 10 months, but you haven't been prioritizing what I told you to do. If somebody tells you you need therapy, it's because you need therapy.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, the screen went up.
Because if I remember correctly, you were the one who was coming from brunch with your girls and got picked up. Am I mistaken?
Yes, ma'am.
Which situation was this?
I was leaving my job.
You was drinking and leaving your job. Oh, okay. That's even worse.
Well, no, that was working in the restaurant industry. I stay away from that area now, which is an easy job to get, but I don't want to go back to that lifestyle.
I get that, but even saying that sentence tells me you recognize you got a problem, but you waited 11 months and still didn't go to therapy.
Well, I paid for the class, but I didn't know I had 30 days after I spoke to the lady to go to the therapy, and that also cost too, I believe. And by the time I set up my appointment, he read the paper.
Did you ask questions?
No, I didn't know I had.
Miss Day, let me just stop you there. How old is your child?
She's 1.
Is she the only child you got?
No, I have another boy.
So you have 2 children, and you know you're facing jail if I decide to put you back in jail, but you go 11 months without asking questions about what's going to keep you out of jail. Come on now. As a mama, you thought you would come in here and Judge Hayward's going to be nice and I'm going to bring my baby and she won't put me in jail. Instead of you have a probation officer that you could have asked all these questions of over the course of the last 11 months, but you sign up for stuff, but you don't get full information about it. You have a probation officer, but you don't ask questions. Every probation officer in Clayton County knows what I prioritize, but you don't ask questions.
Yes, that's my mistake.
You can't afford to make those mistakes. You got 2 people who are dependent upon you. You can't afford to make those mistakes. Who doesn't ask questions about something that's vital to their livelihood? See, you playing me because now you think I'm going to go ahead and let you finish that class. And then when you don't finish the class, I won't have enough time to put you in jail. I could put you in jail first. And then neither one of us would have to worry about anything.
I understand.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do. Because if you understood, you'd have made arrangements for that baby before you brought her up in here.
I tried. Everybody went back to school and work. I drove all the way from Virginia, got here last night. I ain't have nobody else to keep her. Everybody went back.
You did what?
I said I drove from Virginia last night. I didn't have anyone to keep her. Everybody back to college.
Who drove from Virginia?
Me. That's where I currently reside.
Mr. Taylor, doesn't a DUI suspend your license?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does she have it back?
I haven't inquired as to whether she has it back. It is possible she may have obtained a special permissions license that would allow her to drive to work and to school and to hospitals.
But Mr. Taylor, talk to her. Let's verify she got a license before I go any further with her.
Yes, Your Honor.
I did my
All right, yeah, y'all talk offline before we have to go any further on this. All right, who's next? We want to bring Ms. Day back up?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'm ready.
Mrs. Day's license and found that it is currently valid
Okay,
status, so she's able to drive on it. I have the
okay,
license number. Furthermore, Your Honor, Ms. Day has been tested over the course of her probation for alcohol. She was tested at least 3 times at spaced intervals. Tested clean all 3 times. She did not violate any of the testing.
all right, Ms. Day, come on back up.
So while I understand the importance of the ASAM testing, I think that her pattern, or rather lack of a pattern of drinking being clean at random intervals during her probationary period when she was tested, indicates that she did take the admonition of staying away from alcohol seriously.
All right, Miss Day, let me just explain to you why I'm so tough on you. First of all, it's alcohol, and I don't want anybody's life impacted by a drinking driver. Okay, number one. But number two, the studies have shown the health and welfare of a child depends more on the mother, even in a 2-parent home where you're stable and both parents are you married, you both got good jobs, all of that. The health and welfare of a child depends more on the mother's stability and well-being than anything else. You got me? If you're stable and doing well, your kids are going to be stable and doing well. Even if you don't have all the money in the world, you're going to think your way through problems and you're going to make it happen for your children. So never pass up the opportunity to, if somebody in a black robe tells you you need to do X, Y, and Z, do X, Y, and Z. Y and Z, ask questions. Your whole job is to make sure these little people grow up well. So if you don't ask questions, if you're not aggressive about making sure your situation is good, then they're just at the mercy of whatever happens to you. And I know life can be hard. Trust me, I was raised by a single mom. So I know some of the stuff that you're struggling with. But what I'm saying to you is you got to prioritize those things that are, one, going to keep you with your children, and number two, going to move you forward. Now, let's talk about jobs. Where are you working?
I'm working at a daycare, but.
I can't hear you.
I'm working at a daycare, so I could.
Okay. So she gets daycare, so you're working there and okay, that's a good idea. Are you taking any classes?
No.
Where do you see yourself once she's in school?
Just working.
Okay, Miss Day, let me tell you something. I need you to sit down and come up with a plan. Okay? My mama got 2 degrees while I was a kid, like in school. What I want you to do is find the nearest community college to where you are and figure out what programs they have. Even if it's a trade or a technical school, that's even better sometimes because you come out as a business person. Find something that you can do that means that you're going to be in control of your life and making money for your children. You hear me? Because what I hear is somebody who's a little bit defeated. You are kind of down, like you just doing the minimum to get through. You're just doing what it takes to get from day to day to day. And you surviving. But what I want you to start thinking about is you have to thrive. So you got to have a plan. Every spiritual philosophy that I've ever heard of is that Christianity, Buddhism, everywhere, they all talk about how important it is to have a vision and to manifest things into your life. Plan those things, write those things down, speak those things into existence. So right now you down. I get you. It's been a lot. But what I need you to do when you get back home and you safe in your house and your kids are asleep, you need to sit down at your table, get you a hot chocolate or some tea, and get you a notepad and start thinking about stuff you like to do, stuff you can make money at doing, stuff that's going to bring you into a career field, a trade, a business, something. And then the next step is to seek out how to find that resource. Okay? There are programs for working mothers. There are programs, nursing programs are looking for people. You got me? If nursing is your thing, if you're not scared of blood and fluids, then they're looking for people. But Miss Day, you can't just exist. You got two little people who depend on you. And you got to get out there and make it happen. And part of that is being aggressive about things and asking questions. You got to go after it. You can't just let it happen to you. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A lot of what I do is shock and awe. Because when I get you in here and I see that you're not acting like you acting like life is beating you down, I got to shock you. I got to get you back up. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What's the recommendation, Mr. Carmichael?
Probation wants to follow the recommendation that Mr. Taylor proposed earlier, and that she gets the ASMA level 1, enroll in that by the end of this week.
Okay.
As far as payments, I wanted to discuss that with you, or discuss with Mr. Taylor about a possible alternative. Whether we can, the program.
I'm not just pressed about payments right now. She's got a lot on her.
Yes.
I'd rather her complete the ASIM level 1s, and if she does that, I'm gonna be okay.
Understood.
But Miss Day,
Yes, ma'am.
recognize, like I said, it's not gonna happen for you. Nobody's gonna show up at your door and hand you a good job and $1 million. It's not gonna happen. You're gonna have to go get it. And I mean, that means in my lifetime, I've worked 2 jobs. I've had a full-time job and then a side hustle running around, notarizing loan documents, going like just driving after in the evenings and stuff, working that extra. You've got to be willing to do that. You know, when I grew up, my mama, she was a police officer. She was taught at a daycare. That's where coming out. That was one of her first jobs. When she got me stable, she was working at a daycare, but she went back to school. So you've got to start a plan and start thinking about what you can do, because you can't just let life happen to you. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we'll go, Miss. You're going to return to probation. You're going to sign up for your level 1 treatment program class by what's today? Today is Tuesday. By Monday morning, you need to have that completely signed up. Okay, and you need to go ahead and complete that.
Yes, ma'am.
So by January 12th, sign up for your level 1 program and complete that. All right, Miss Day, I want the best for you and them babies, but I can't do that. I can't do the best for you. Only you can.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So on your drive back, you play your good music and you let your mind roam free and just think about all the things that you want to have change in your life and where you see yourself and those babies in a year, because your whole life can change in 12 months. For the good or the bad. I want yours to change for the good.
Thank you so much.
All right. All right. I'm going to send that over, Mr. Carmichael.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
That's all of my cases. May I be excused?
Yes, Mr. Carmichael. Thank you.
All right, so all the talk in South Carolina, North Carolina, all those places about snow. If you live in a place where there's snow all the time, it's kind of silly to hear it. But the past couple of days, everybody's been panicking at work. You know, not wanting to work on Friday. Everybody's scared of what's about to come. And seeing all the comments in the chat, it starts to make me just wonder why and how in the world do you survive in those areas where you have snow for months? Because maybe I'm misunderstanding how bad this weather event's going to be, but it doesn't look like it's going to be that bad. But who knows? I'm in Florida, so I don't have to deal with it. It's 42, nice and warm inside homes. It's cold as hell outside, but we know how to do it in Florida. If it's 40 degrees, we put on our sweaters and our shorts, and so we don't have to worry about that. But thank you all for coming out. Looks like we got Victoria here. No pirates here, Victoria. No pirates at all. We don't do that. Let's jump over to, oh hell, since we got Victoria here, let's jump over to Judge Fleischer from today. So let's see what's going on there.
Mr. Williams, you're charged with terroristic threat of a family or household member. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On December 29th, 2024, the officer is dispatched to a disturbance involving a weapon at an apartment in Harris County, Texas. The officer made contact with the complainant, who stated she and the defendant are in a dating relationship, that she left the club with a witness, and she received a call from the defendant asking where she was at. The defendant was upset because she was not at the apartment when he was there, and the defendant was texting her that she better not be at the apartment, and that would be her best bet once he got to the apartment and she was not there. The defendant was texting her, but the complainant stated that when she returned to the apartment, she observed the defendant walking towards the motor vehicle she was in with a black metal object in her hand, banging on the window of the motor vehicle. And the defendant told the complainant to get out of the motor vehicle or he was going to drag her ass out. The complainant felt threatened and called the officer. The defendant sent text messages to the complainant reading, "It's cool because whenever I catch you, I promise you on my life, bitch, I'm going to show you. You think I'm bullshitting? Let that bum ass have you made for each other on my mama. So I'm telling you to stay where you at. But for real, whenever you come here, bitch, you better have backup because I'm going to drag you, bitch."
I think one of the happiest things in my life is getting to watch him and listen to him recite what these people say. I wonder when he was going through law school if this was the highlight of his day, but it's certainly the highlight of my day. So I appreciate that fella there.
Mr. Williams, there is probable cause to go forward. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with this complaining witness and not to be in possession of weapons. Do you understand? There is a protective order that has been issued in this case. Get to know it, because if you violate the protective order, the state can file a violation of protective order against you, and it's one of the worst cases you can pick up. You understand? We're going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. So I'm going to have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. We'll have you take your seat in the jury box. So we'll get your bond conditions. We'll have you sign it. And then you'll be free to go.
I had came to court when I was locked up, and they had appointed me in court.
That was for probable cause court, but it doesn't.
And it to be able to have a, well, he had found me entered it to be able to have a court appointed lawyer.
I have a financial affidavit here that says that you make nearly $8,000 a month.
Well, I'm not at work. I'm not gonna be able to go to work until this case is over. So I've been out of work since October.
All right, so let's do this. I'll have you fill out a new one. Just put all the information on it. I'll file it, and then assuming you do, I'll give you a lawyer today. Okay? But I need you to fill out another one. I cannot give you a lawyer when I have an affidavit that says that you make that much. So I need to know the true number. No. Let's not talk about the case now.
No, it's not about a case. It's about me going to work. I have my.
Let's do this. Hold on. I don't want you to say anything where just, let me have you look. Let me have you do this. If you qualify, I'll give you a lawyer. Talk to the lawyer. The lawyer can come talk to me. Okay? All right, please.
On Tristan Smith, have a report for you.
Okay, tell me.
The last question was about his being in custody. You mentioned that you were willing to let him out, and I assume no personal bonds, if we could show that he would be staying with an adult. I talked to a Miss Palmer, who is the woman that he was referring to. Ms. Palmer is okay with him living with her, but she has some issues with the bond conditions. She does not want an individual living in her house with an ankle monitor. And she said she wanted to express that she is not his mother. Although he could stay there, she wanted to make sure that, I think she didn't want to take on any responsibilities that,
sure.
So I told her I understood that this was merely about living arrangements, and we understand it's temporary and all of that. But she said she was fine, but she just cannot do the ankle monitor. So I wanted to bring that to your
I
attention.
don't understand what that means.
She doesn't want an individual in her house with an ankle monitor. I guess it's something she's never come in contact with and feels strange. I don't know. She does understand that he's accused of a crime and that he's going through a criminal process, but this was her sticking point. Not what I anticipated, but that was a sticking point for her. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, and I guess my ask would be, would you be willing to amend that condition?
How were we able to monitor him then?
How we monitor him?
Yeah. How do we know he's not going out in the middle of the night? Just
Well, we wouldn't. What we could do is, of course, what you said you would do, which is random UAs every time he comes. We could do frequent appearances for him. I mean, there's other, I mean, we're not gonna know where he is 24 hours a day.
It's a hard time making it here, you know?
He does, he
So
does.
We're
But
gonna,
I did discover that there may be some resources available to him that I'm working on in terms of transportation. So I think we can remedy that, and that's through MAC. I think we can remedy that. But that was the first thing, because I mean, he's been in jail the whole time. He hasn't been able to get out, cannot make bond, doesn't have a cosigner. She's not willing to be a cosigner for him. So it's either going to be he sits there, set it for trial, or the state makes an offer that you're willing to accept. That's kind of where we are at this stage. So that was the first thought, is whether you'd be willing to amend that condition. That'll get him out. He'll stay with Ms. Palmer while we work out these cases.
Good. I'm going to discuss with Kelsey in a moment and potential offer. We're talking about maybe a potential deferred. We'll discuss it with Kelsey and see if you're amenable to that, Your Honor.
did you offer him a PTI?
No, PTI not offered, Your Honor. We offered previously a time served, but as you mentioned, you would not accept that. So we're going to discuss with Kelsey to see if some sort of probation.
And obviously, if the state were willing to offer a PTI, that's something I believe he would accept. But we talked about the potential for deferred, and I told him the legal implications of that.
My only issue is that if I let him out, as history has told us, when I try to get him here, it's very difficult. You know, there's this excuse, there's that excuse. The only time I'm able to get him here is because he picked up a new case. Otherwise, you know,
It had been tough to get him here,
historically, I
Judge.
try to get him to go test, he just doesn't go. So it's,
Well, the last time when he was ordered to appear, he came, he walked 9 hours. I mean, he wants to deal with it, but he's like, in his words, the court took away my parents, so I don't have an adult to stay with. And I was like, well, your parents asked for you not to go there. But the way he views it is,
have you talked to them lately?
him?
Oh, the parents.
No. I've never. I spoke to his mom. She a lady who said she was his
Yeah, but
mother.
that's New Orleans.
Several weeks.
Hey, Kim, when they say PTI, it's pre-trial intervention. It's normally a program that if you jump through all the hoops, follow all the steps, and do everything that you can avoid having it on your record. All the cases are different, and so, but they get to, like Eileen said, the perp gets to negotiate their surrender. So it's somewhat how it works. This Tristan case is almost becoming a daily thing. There's a lot of different twists and turns in it, and you know, everybody rooting for the kid, but everybody understanding the kid's got to figure it out and understand that that's not what life's about. Big Tiff's got it perfectly right, pro Tristan, but there definitely needs to be an ankle monitor on it. There's something missing with that one. It says missed this morning for an appointment. What are we looking for? What are we looking at? This is Judge Fleischer. We're talking about Tristan. Tristan will come up in a few minutes, so this is just the setup for it.
But she doesn't live with. No, I've never talked to the grandmother. She hasn't taken my calls. And then the other CW was
Have you tried to call grandma?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I was curious about the information that we received, but she won't take my calls or return them. So he's in this situation where he has no way to get out. He's missed school.
You mind bringing up Mr. Smith, please? Tristan Smith.
I don't necessarily want him to come to court every week, because that would, again, be absences and things like that from school. But if that's something that the court will require, we could work with Mac about transportation, getting him here. So I think he would be willing to do that.
Because it scares me to put him on too long of a leash, you know, because when we do that, here we are again, you know.
Judge, we always have the random UAs to ensure that he's not ingesting any illegal substances. I mean, we have things to do to keep tabs on him. It's just a matter of how do we move forward with him not being in jail.
No one's checked anything on these. Hey, who filed these? Nothing is checked on any of them. Nothing's filled out on here.
I feel like I got a celebrity in the room today. Normally, CJ, today I see her on Court Vibes in the morning. I'm not used to seeing today on my channel. So thank you so much, CJ, today for stopping by. Yeah, Peace Sales. I think Tristan's starting to see that as well. I think Tristan saw that everybody was on Tristan's side, and now people are just getting wore out. You can only have so much interaction. And Judge Fleischer was right when he kept talking about that. You sleep with dogs, you end up with fleas. So I think the judge has had enough of it, and I think the judge putting him in jail has kind of been a wake up call, and maybe it'll wake Tristan up.
Mr. Brooklyn. Alex.
Since the judge ran out, I'll jump in there. The dog is in the other room. She's getting to be, I guess, 6 or 7 years. Emily knows how old the dog is now, and she goes to bed early, so she don't like these late night shows.
Right. It's. How's jail? The question is, how do we go from here? Where do we go from here? All I want is the best for you, and it seems like when we give you too much of a leash, no good happens. Nothing good happens. I want to let you out, and he has found you a place to go to, but I guess the requirement is she's saying is that she doesn't want you to have an ankle monitor. But if I don't put the ankle monitor, am I supposed to take your word that you're not going out in the middle of the night? Really? How am I supposed to monitor to make sure you're not?
I don't go nowhere. I just go to school, come home, that's it. I don't go nowhere. I don't do nothing. I'm just trying to go to school, that's it. I done already missed finals, been emailing.
In this latest assault, where were they at?
So the latest assault, Your Honor, they were at, it appears to be at a residence. And then that's whenever they got into a group fight with the defendant and another female attacking the complainant.
Okay. I'm going to give you another chance, but I'm going to tell you now, 3 strikes, you're out. If I find that you're using marijuana, because I'm going to test you like crazy. As of today, I'm going to test you again in 3 weeks. If you test positive, it's not going to go well. Do you understand? You pick up a new case, and I don't know how else to get through to you, but if this is the only way, then this is the only way. I mean, somehow we have to get your attention. You need to make better decisions. If you come up across where there's going to be a fight, walk the other way. If you are hanging out with people who you know are up to no good, that they're going to go smoke weed, go the other way. If they're asking, hey, come on, let's go to the club, don't go. I don't want you out in the middle of the night. So you still have a curfew. Do you understand? What is reasonable, Mr. Brooks, do you think?
I have practice and stuff, so it would have to be like after like 5 to.
I would say 9 o'clock, Judge.
Okay with that?
17 years old, school activity should be finished by 8, I would think.
Okay, you must be at that house. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have, because since she doesn't want the monitor, okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have pretrial call you at 9:30 at night to ensure that you're at home. You're not going to know when they're going to call, but I'm ordering them to do that. So they're going to call. And if we call and they ask for you and you don't come to the phone, it's not going to go well for you. Do you understand? Okay, so the bond condition is to stay in school full time, and I want proof. I'm not going to take your word for it. I want proof that you're actually enrolled in school. No drugs, no alcohol, no contact with the complaining witness in this case. Do you know who the person he was with by chance?
Second, Judge.
The person he was with?
In the second case, the young lady, she was not mentioned, or I don't know who she was.
No bars?
She was my ex.
She doesn't live with office.
No, she stay all the way in Cheneville. I don't even be in Cheneville.
No bars, no clubs, anything of this nature. Life is hard enough as it is. You see how hard it is when you don't have money. Life doesn't get easier the older you get. It only gets more difficult, especially being who you are in today's society. The only way that you're going to get anywhere is with this. Knowledge is power. And with power and with knowledge, you get money. And once you get that education, no one can take it from you, right? Only good things can happen. If you want resources, we have it here. I can give you paperwork so we can get you a cell phone and we can get you a tablet.
I have a phone and all that. Like I have a phone, I have an iPad. It was just hard for me to find housing at first because I didn't have nobody. So
you have someone now. So if they set rules for you, no matter how bad they are, you have to follow it, because if you don't and they kick you out, you're on the street again. So if she tells you to wax the floor, wax the damn floor. Because if you're not nice to these people, if you're not good to them, and if you don't have patience, you're going to end up on the street. You understand? Patience is everything. Self-control. All right.
Thank you, Judge.
thank you.
Judge, for the drug testing, did you want me to just do it at the court's discretion so that for the dates?
I want to do random testing.
Okay, because last time we discussed it, we put them on weekly random.
No, I don't want to do that. We'll test in 3 weeks. 3 weeks we test them. And I also want you guys to call the house.
Yes, that's what we do for the curfew without GPS.
Right.
And you want that still 9 PM to 6 AM?
Yeah.
Okay, so still keep the randoms.
And no weapon.
Yes.
All right, stay in school. Okay, come on.
All right, so somebody tell me what was the issue? What was the issue? What was holding up from them making that deal? It seems like you would do anything to get out of jail. So why was there an argument about it? And so someone help me out with that. We're going to jump over to a Judge Simpson clip, and then we'll come back to the rest of this Fleischer one. So let's jump over there.
Our calls the case of People versus Zachary Radcliffe.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Amy Reiser, appearing on behalf of the people.
Your Honor, James Thomas for Ms. Radcliffe.
Okay, what are we doing?
Your Honor, today is the time and date set for the probable cause conference, and all of the discovery has been provided. There are still some electronic devices that are outstanding, but I don't know when those will be done. So I think we could get an exam date, and I would be requesting a special date. I think it will take like a full day.
All right.
Well, Judge, just let the court know, she did provide 8 videos on Monday that are, I don't even know how many hours of videos that I have not had an opportunity to even look at yet. These were things that were requested over a month ago and just got them Monday this week, which puts me in a predicament, because obviously my guy's locked up and I would want to have my client be able to watch these videos, which calls into question his bond and the amount of his bond, because I would like to seek, or at least ask for, an oral motion to set a bond or reduce his bond at this time if the court would entertain that.
Well, I'll always hear bond, but I guess I don't understand your rationale for bond is because you can't view the.
Well, there's a couple of reasons for it. One, obviously the limited contact that I'm able to have with my client, as far as all the hours of evidence that they just provided to me this week, for one. 2, when he initially was in his preliminary presentation, There was not an assessment that was done whatsoever for the bond. He had an attorney there, but according to my client, the attorney really didn't say anything on his behalf, and a $3 million bond was put into place. And at that point, none
All
of
right, counsel, if you want to argue that he didn't have an adequate opportunity to argue bond, I think each time you've been here, that issue has been brought up.
Never.
But if you, okay, then fine. You want to file a written motion? File a written motion. We'll give you a special time. I'll give you all the time in the world. I'll hear your bond motion. How long will it take you to do the motion?
I could have it this week, Your Honor.
People need about 7 days to respond, if that.
Yeah, sure.
But the only thing, I'm out of the country from the 21st to the 28th of January.
I got a holiday before that, so I can't, if you're not here till the 28th, I can't hear till the end of the month.
What day do you hear them on, Your Honor?
I hear them on Thursdays in the afternoon.
What day does that fall on?
Pardon?
What day does it fall on, Your Honor?
What do you mean?
The one that you were thinking about putting it on.
Well, if you're out between the 21st and 28th, the only Thursday I then have is the 30th.
I mean, I can make the 30th work if that's the earliest we can get.
Set probable cause, I'll adjourn the probable cause conference and set the bond motion to January 30th, 2025, 3 p.m. That is before me at that point for the bond motion.
Judge, would you like a courtesy copy to your email or to?
I think the court rules require that you need to send me a copy so you can deliver it to the court, or you can send it to the email of my clerk or
Yes,
my staff.
I suggest we set an exam date.
It's not gonna happen until discovery is all complete. He's saying discovery's not, I mean, I'm not gonna do it. What I'm gonna do is he wants to hear the bond motion. I'll hear the bond motion. It says that you just got discovery to him. I don't set them that way. I'm not gonna set it. I'm gonna hear the bond mark. 30th.
And so I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. The discovery that he doesn't have may never come because it's passcode protected.
And then I understand that because that was brought up before me before. If he wants to give him the passcodes, then I think that discovery can get there, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So I'll hear the bond motion on the 30th and then we'll see where we go from there.
Your Honor, just so I know, I mean, I know that she's saying that there's other stuff that's out there possibly with subpoenas and stuff that she has out there. I'm not sure where.
What subpoenas?
I didn't say that.
Well, is there other notices out there for anything else that you're doing with other than his?
I hear that there is electronic devices that are password protected that is going to take some time to get into, that he may have the passwords to, but I don't think he's going to give them. So we're just going to have to wait on that. I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
No, sir.
Wonderful. We'll see you on the 30th. Hey, guys, hold it, folks. Hold on a moment. Who's who with, is that everybody? I just want to make sure. So anybody with defense counsel that was here, they've left already or they're on their way out? Okay, let them go first. I know I try to alternate, but I probably got it all wrong, folks. I'm sorry, but I just don't want anything. Let them go. And then, folks, if you would be patient, once they've cleared, then those folks can leave. Thank you. Court calls the case, People versus Desiree.
Yeah, I'll jump in and talk about the crowd in there. This was in the first hour or two of the day, and it was the PCC day, so there was quite a bit going on in the court. There was quite a bit going on in there. I was talking with somebody earlier, and I'm never going to admit it, but there's a good conversation I'm having with somebody with that someone that's almost making me question my politics, and that's something I rarely talk about online because politics is so dangerous. But watching these court things, you start to see what the difference between what's idealistic and what's reality. Watching some of these court things, you get to learn a lot about that. my son, when he went through his court journey, my wife got to go sit in and visit. And my wife is not a court watcher. She has no interest in this. She's helpful to the channel. She's very kind and, nice to me about this stuff, but this is just not her thing. But whenever she would come home from court, from being there for my son, she'd she'd talk about all the other cases in there. So there's obviously an interest in this, but me and a friend of mine have the attitude of, just off with their head, everybody locked up, figure it out. But that's just simply not practical. Houston actually there was an article in the Houston Chronicle, I think it was. I don't know if that's a good newspaper or not, but I'll just mention it. And they were talking about in 2023, all the money that they spend trying to house inmates in Texas, and how there's not enough correctional officers, not enough parole officers, not enough probation officers to handle all of it. So we can always talk about how everybody should be monitored and everybody should that, but there's got to be somebody that can monitor them. And hiring the right people is not always an easy job. I know I don't want to do that job, and I don't know who does. And so, but you can't just lock everybody up. I kind of believe that everybody should face the consequences of their action, but there's not enough room for everybody that makes a mistake. But it looks like Junebug's here, so we can go ahead and hit play. Hey, Junebug.
Radnovich?
Yep, right here.
Okay, hello.
Interrupt you on behalf of Mr. Bogdanovich. Judge, we've adjourned this PCC. Due to the holidays, it was tough to get an appointment with her. I have an in-person appointment with her tomorrow at the Huron Valley Women's Prison at 10 a.m. Could we just adjourn this PC maybe 1 week?
Are we kidding again?
I have to go 2 weeks because I can't.
That's fine. Ms. Bogdanovich, no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't get a visit with you because of the holidays. That's what they told me.
I've been sitting in front of the phone for 4 hours waiting for you to call on 2 occasions. I don't feel like you're trying to contact me at all.
I can't directly contact you. I have to go through the system and they wouldn't allow it.
They had me sitting in front of a phone for you.
Hey, hold on, folks.
I'll be there tomorrow, 10
Hold
a.m.
on. Maybe he's supposed to be down there tomorrow. I can't rectify what may have occurred in the past, and we'll get you heard as soon as we can, okay?
Okay.
Sir, your name?
Emerson Wilson.
All right, what, you're requesting an adjournment?
I'm asking for an adjournment, Your Honor.
And we have a new bond violation report.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm in receipt of that. I don't know if a warrant didn't go out.
Pardon?
A warrant has not gone out on the case.
You want me to issue one?
No, Your Honor.
All right, let's address it then.
Addressing it, he does have an appointment today for a medical marijuana card. The last time I talked to him, it was you can't use until you obtain a potential card and seek that permission from the court. That didn't get done quickly. However, he does have an appointment today. He did provide me proof. We're working on negotiating a potential resolution in this case. He understands and can direct to the court that he will not use until.
Has he been using? I mean, and so before you answer, understand, I don't want to call over and get levels, but I will.
Speaking with him, and he's willing to tell the court today as well, is yes, Your Honor. He's been defying the court order. He thought that him obtaining a card was enough for starting that process. But he understands now and will not be using. And I think if we go out to the 30th, the levels will be going down until he gets permission from the court.
Probable cause conference will be adjourned to January 16th, 2025, 9 a.m. This time defendant's bond is revoked, defendant's remanded.
Judge, my client did want me to address one issue regarding bond, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. I explained to my client the statutory requirements for a child support case and his bond. He wanted to make sure that his bond, to ask the court to set this bond to the lowest possible amount. I told him I thought it might be there already, but he wanted me to confirm that with the court. And if not, he wanted to have it reduced to the lowest possible amount.
His bond is set at $3,476, which would mean that he would have approximately owed somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know what his current obligation is.
I can let you, Your Honor. I can explain that. His current obligation right now is $15,370.58. That's as of January 6th. He has an ongoing support obligation also of $203. The defendant hasn't made a payment since August of 2023. Technically, the bond should be a little bit higher. It should be about $3,800 right now. But
Right.
but I'm not going to make an issue out of that. So
it is the lowest possible. Thank you, Judge.
Well, it's lower than the
It's
lowest
lower.
possible.
So it's not.
Do you want me to change it?
Not at all, Judge.
Okay, then we're done with that conversation?
We are, Judge.
We are.
Thank you.
All right, bond will continue. Thank you.
thank you, Your Honor.
The other thing is that I won't address it today, but he may need to appear in person because I've got a violation report from Community Corrections regarding missed samples, 3 consecutive ones.
I actually had a hard time getting to these appointments.
Sir, you might want to talk to your attorney before you start addressing me on that.
Okay.
Positive for THC.
Yes, there was a positive for THC back on December 18th and then 3 successive misses. And prior to that, there was an unable or refuse. So here's what I will do. Sir, you're going to need to arrange to be at the courthouse. We will try to get what information we can to you, counsel, so that you can contact him. But I'll adjourn this out just 1 week to the 16th.
I have a court date on that day.
Pardon?
I have a court date on the 16th at 9:30.
Where?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be at 14-2.
14-2?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
we're
Your
right down
Honor,
the
I also
we're right
have
down the
a-
street.
Your Honor, I also have 2 other matters that morning. Would it be possible to adjourn 2 weeks?
Well, I think that I need to address his bond violations. Otherwise, I'll just revoke his bond. We'll come get him and then we'll set it whenever everybody can be here. Which way do we want to do this?
Well, I understand, Your Honor. We will make arrangements to be there. I'll talk to your court clerk about. coordinating.
Fantastic.
Judge. And I
Probable
do
cause.
have Mr. Tournier's phone number from the chat. So Mr. Tournier, I'll be calling you when we hang up here.
Okay.
January 16th, 2025, 9 a.m. Bond
Thank
at
you,
this
Your Honor.
time. Bond at this time is continued. Thank you. Court calls case of the people versus Kyle Rainey.
Special on the people, Assistant Public Defender, Julie, Your Honor, on behalf of Mr. Cal Rainey, who is approaching.
That's what I was looking for. Why? Go ahead.
Your Honor, today is the date and time set for probable cause conference in this matter. I know the court would want to first address Mr. Rainey's bond violation.
Yes.
I know. So, Your Honor, Mr. Rainey was released from custody. I don't have the date in front of me. However, upon his release, Your Honor, he
left the state.
He did. He left the state of Michigan and he went to Indiana. When he was released, Your Honor, he indicated to me that he was displaced and he did not have a place to stay. He did have a tether on. He indicates that he contacted the tether agency. He contacted the emergency number to see if he would have permission to go and stay with his grandmother in Indiana. He states that he did not receive any information back. I did not receive any contact from Mr. Rainey, but it was during the holiday period, Judge. He has been in contact with us.
Was there a call to your office at all?
There was a call to my office. He called us. It wasn't prior to him going. I will say that. However, he did call and say, I'm in Indiana. I didn't have anywhere to go. I've been trying to reach out to my agent, but to no avail. He's got that other case in Hillsdale County. He's been reporting. He's currently on probation there. He has been testing.
Yes, yeah.
To our community.
No, not serious.
Okay. He is, Your Honor, he has not been using any substances. He has been clean. The only reason he went there was because he did not have a place to stay. He stays with his grandmother in Indiana. I have explained to him that prior to leaving the state, he has to receive permission from the court to enable him to go wherever it is that he's going to
I
go.
ended up getting in Litchfield one day.
Okay. He indicated that he was
You
only
need to take your hands out of your pockets.
He indicates that he was only in Indiana for 1 day. He has been back now.
1 day too long.
one day too long, Your Honor. He has been able to secure housing here in Michigan, in Litchfield.
Litchfield, Michigan, where I'm from.
In Litchfield, Michigan, where he's from. Your Honor, he has been very, very active in this case right from the beginning. We know that it took us a minute to get him out of custody. And obviously, he does not take that for granted, Your Honor. His violation of this bond was not, although it was very much so a violation, Your Honor, he doesn't want the court to perceive it to have been a disrespect to the court. He takes this case extremely seriously. We've been working with the people to see if there's a resolution. Right now, we do not have a resolution, mainly because this outstanding issue needs to be resolved first. We're asking that the court allow him to stay out. The tether is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Obviously, it didn't stop him from going, but he knows now that he is.
No, he knew then.
Your Honor, I did know then. I had nowhere to go. I was left out here. When I got arrested, I was in summer clothes. They were able to give me a hoodie. It was the middle of winter. I contacted everybody that I could contact, and I apologize.
No, you didn't contact everybody you could have contacted. Did you get a response? Any response from the people?
The concerns of the people are just, I think the court recalls when we were here last time, the defendant was able to secure a PR bond after having been spent 7 months in Hillsdale, coming back here. So when he was gone, he wasn't gone somewhere else, he was in Hillsdale. But the concern is still that there was a failure to appear, I believe, at some point during the case. That may not be accurate, and I apologize if it's not, but the issue is he was on bond for a CCW at the time of this possession case. He leaves the state. And I don't know if he's been testing. I don't have that information. I don't have anything to say he's not. I just don't have any information he has been testing. And there are clearly had the ability to get all the way to Indiana. So I'm not sure why there wasn't some sort of communication with his attorney or something else to make sure that he was gonna follow the bond conditions that were set by the court.
And Your Honor, if I may, just very briefly, he indicates to me that he has been testing. He's been testing in Hillsdale. He's on probation out there. His attorney in Hillsdale, he states that she forwarded the testing results to Community Correction. I don't have a copy of that. I can absolutely reach out to them and see if I can get that. But Judge, we're really asking that the court give him another opportunity. He's been in custody for 7 months, in and out of Hillsdale. I mean, between here and Hillsdale.
And he just needs to follow the court's orders. It's really simple. Anything else?
Like I said, I got a place here now.
Nothing else, Your Honor. He just wants the court to know that he does have housing in Michigan now.
Probable cause conference will be adjourned to January 16, 2025, 9 a.m. This time, the defendants remanded on the warrant. Community correction for violation of his bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so in my little battle with Allie about what's going to be next, Allie's letting me know that she's going to shout out her opinions regardless. Great, wonderful. So let's go to, well, how about this? We'll do Judge O'Connell and then we'll leave out with Judge Perkins. So that sounds good to me. So let's go to Judge O'Donnell and then we'll finish up with Perkins. This Judge O'Donnell's one's a little long, but his is always well. So let's see where we go from there.
All right, well, let's deal with this PV stuff. The 2 violations in each of the cases is that August 22 of 24, you had contact with the Sheriff's Department and failed to report it. Do you understand that charge?
Yes, Your Honor.
And August 27th, charged with theft in Painesville Municipal Court. You understand that charge?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Cherry, what does she want to do with regard to those, her probable cause in a final hearing?
You good with that? Your Honor, we are prepared to waive probable cause at this time and enter an admission.
All right, so is that what you want to do, Ms. Facemeyer?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is your plea to those allegations in each of the cases of 19, 1297, and 2065?
Guilty, Your Honor.
All right, I'll accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. So we'll go to sentencing on all 3 cases. Go ahead, Mr. Cherry.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, Ms. Facemeyer, as you know, is a 31-year-old woman. She is recently, even though she was employed at the time of this offense, she is now employed again at, she has been working there and has been entrusted with a company car and a company credit card and has a good position again that she's hoping to maintain despite the activity in this case. As the court is well aware, Ms. Facemeyer is a heroin addict. She has been sober and clean from that drug for 5 years now. She has had Suboxone treatment in the past and is currently using Suboxone to manage her symptoms and her addiction to that drug, but has not gone back to heroin. She has, to my knowledge, and is confirmed by the probation department, been provided a number of opportunities to complete a drug screen and has passed all of those drug screens. She has also gone to meetings in Alcoholics Anonymous and received some benefit from those meetings, although considering what has happened recently, I think she needs to go back and continue working again. As the court is also aware, she has presented to everybody here that she has a cancer diagnosis. That turns out not to be the case, but what is clear from her records, which have been provided to the court, is that she has an ongoing mental health issue that I would think, combined with her addictive behavior, creates a problem for her in which she needs services. What is good for her, primarily good for her, is that she has a community of people around her, the kind of community that you would want for a person with her problems, to help support her, give her good direction, and provide her guidance when she struggles in working the 12 steps of any addiction program and to help manage her mental health symptoms. Sorry, Your Honor. Her boyfriend, Dan Cameron, is here with us today, and despite all of this that has happened before this court on the current circumstances, he still loves her, and he still believes that she is a good person with qualities that she can offer to the community that are positive. She has other members of Alcoholics Anonymous, which I won't belabor the point and have all of them read, but many of them wrote letters in support of her in connection with today's sentencing. She's also going to church and getting support from that front to help with her mental health and addiction, and Pastor Rollins is here today to tell you about his piece of this.
Your Honor, I am here today because of some very poor choices that I made. I understand their severity and I accept full responsibility for them. I am profoundly sorry for the undue stress and aggravation that my actions caused those who I victimized. My actions deprived innocent people of their property and hard-earned money. I fully understand how hard it is to earn money, and regardless of my struggles, it does not excuse my actions. I made another poor choice in stopping the medication that I was prescribed. This is in no way an excuse for my behavior, but by that point, everything was out of character for me. I was overwhelmed by my gambling addiction that had spiraled out of control. It took me down harder and faster than my addiction to drugs did in the past. In addition to losing money gambling, my hours were being cut at work, and I was struggling to meet my monthly expenses. I got myself into a very scary situation, and because I was afraid to ask for help, my pride got in the way of common sense. I have begun to repair the wreckage. I have resumed regular meetings with my psychiatrist, and I am taking the medicine as prescribed. Acting on advice of my AA sponsor, I have sought help through Gamblers Anonymous online, and I continue working the AA program, which has given me opportunities I never thought were possible, and has put people in my life that actually love me and care deeply about me and my well-being. I have also sought out and participate in weekly counseling sessions so that I can address and deal with things from my past that have eaten away at me for many years. Pastor Rollins, who is here today, and I have discussed additional counseling with him, and I plan to follow through as soon as possible. I didn't have a good upbringing, and for the first time in my life, I'm loved and have the support of people who have become my real family. I've worked hard to climb out of the hole I dug for myself in the past. While I acknowledge my growth, I know that I still have a lot of work to do. One of the most important actions in my program of recovery is to make amends when I owe them, and to do so promptly. Your Honor, I have been fortunate enough to gain full-time employment again. As Eric said, I'm entrusted with a brand new company vehicle and a credit card to make purchases needed for the scope of my duties. I am also in a very stable, loving, and nurturing living situation. I am fully willing and able to make restitution to the people I am responsible for victimizing, as well as meeting my monthly expenses. While my program teaches me that the best amends is changed behavior, I owe it to those individuals to make things right financially. I would like to also extend my sincere apology to my victims, their families, and anyone close to them who were affected in any way by my actions. Your Honor, I'm asking you humbly for your grace and mercy so that I can make these amends as quickly as possible, and so that I can pay my debt to the court by allowing me the privilege of continuing on the path to become an honorable and God-fearing woman. I want to make good on the opportunity you granted me 5 years ago. I also want to apologize for violating my probation that came because you gave me a chance back then. I am committed to doing everything required and necessary to make sure I am never in this position again. I experienced some of the harshest realities that life sometimes presents, but I have tools to use to deal with them, and most importantly, a growing relationship with my Lord that was not existent when I stood before you during my darkest days. I ask that you would see fit to allow me to remain free so that I can continue my journey and grow to become the woman that I am capable of becoming and that Jesus wants me to be. Thank you.
Why did you go into these 2 cars?
Because with my hours being cut with work and the addiction to gambling and not wanting to ask for help, Your Honor, I got overwhelmed with the extent of my bills trying to keep up with restitution and even gambling itself.
Well, what bills?
My phone, my car. I had, even with the psychiatrist, because my Medicaid had gotten cut while I was waiting for my insurance through work to kick in. And then just with the expense of gambling itself.
What'd you do with the money?
I literally only got $20, and that I went and I put in the slot machine.
So it really had nothing to do with the bills, it had to do with the gambling.
Correct.
What'd you do with the items that were taken?
I threw them away.
When did the gambling start?
About 2 years ago. It didn't get really bad until about a year ago.
And how were you gambling?
Those little internet cafes that they have that have popped up around, I would just go in there because they have slot machines.
Now, when's the last time you tested positive for any drugs?
I never tested positive. I've been sober for the 5 years.
And how did you accomplish that?
Through AA and the support that I've gained, and through the rooms, like I said, of Alcoholics Anonymous and the steps and tools they gave me.
Then what's with the Suboxone?
That was when my mental health got real bad and everything too, from the gambling and secluding myself. I literally wanted to kill myself or do heroin, so I had reached out to a Suboxone doctor, so that way I didn't do either, because either was going to kill me anyways. And I didn't want to die.
Which doctor?
Her name was Emily Shumway. I know it was a different one before that with insurance, but then they stopped taking my insurance, so I had to switch to Ms. Shumway. And then when I just got Medicaid back, I had to switch to, his name was Scott Allen.
Where are they located?
It doesn't say on there because it's through online virtual.
All right. Did you inform your probation officer that you were going to these doctors?
I informed her that I was on Suboxone and that it was through a virtual doctor, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I don't like this virtual doctor crap. I don't like it.
I understand that, but that was what insurance covered.
It's worked out really, really well. So how long had it been before you, when did you get the Suboxone?
It would have been about, I want to say over a year ago, when it was getting, my addiction was getting real bad.
Okay, when you say what addiction was getting bad?
The gambling addiction.
Okay. And So you're on the computer with somebody who may or may not be a doctor, who's a pretend doctor. And how long had it been, when they prescribed, whoever it was prescribed this Suboxone, how long had it been since you took heroin?
At that time, it would have been, because I just had 5 years in December.
So why in the world is a doctor prescribing Suboxone, which is theoretically, okay, to get you from taking heroin 4 years after the fact?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Did you discuss that with this?
I did, because I had told them I literally wanted to kill myself or pick up heroin.
And so how many times did you share a screen with this doctor?
They did it once a month.
Well, how many times before you were prescribed Suboxone?
They did a screen before I was prescribed it, because I went up to LabCorp through Walgreens, and then it was once every 2 weeks, and then it went to once a month.
Now, my question is, how many times did you talk to this doctor on the computer screen before Suboxone was prescribed?
They prescribed it that first time.
Now, this is absolutely unbelievable, irresponsible, and you would think there's some goddamn medical ethics that would prevent that from occurring. You would think, okay? Now, you're a pretty good manipulator, right? You are a Class A manipulator.
Yes.
You are,
Your Honor.
right? Okay, this whole cancer stuff was all made up, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So you can convince Mr. Cameron and all the AA people that you had cancer and collect money for it. What'd you do with all that money?
One from the fundraiser and everything, I literally donated because I couldn't use it for that because I didn't have the moral capacity to.
What?
I said, through my morals and values, when they gave me that money, I donated it to the Cancer Foundation because I couldn't use it for that.
What cancer foundation?
The American Cancer Society.
How do I know that?
You don't, but.
Right. Why would I believe that? Seems to me you probably gambled it. If you got a bunch of money in your hand and you got a gambling addiction and you're telling me you donated it somewhere else?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So that gets back, I mean, you're a manipulator and you manipulated this doctor because you told this doctor whatever you wanted to tell this doctor and got Suboxone and started taking Suboxone. Now, Suboxone is an addictive drug, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When is the last time you took Suboxone?
They have me tapering off of it now, so I did take it this morning, but I'm on half a strip a day and we're weaning me off.
This is unbelievable to me. When's the last time you actually went to a doctor?
I want to say I was supposed to go on the 4th, but I didn't. Oh, it's right there too, because I just had surgery on the 21st.
Okay, when's the last time you went to a doctor for other than that condition? Not saw him on a computer screen.
The
Went to a doctor.
psychiatrist I see in person once a year, and then otherwise it's virtual because he's in Twinsburg. And then I went and
Psychiatrist?
saw, yes.
Okay. And what did that psychiatrist prescribe for you?
He gives me the Xanax and the Zoloft.
Okay. And what's that for? What's the diagnosis for that?
Severe anxiety and major depressive disorder.
How long have you been going to that doctor?
I've been seeing him now about 2.5 or 3 years.
Did that doctor know about your gambling?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
I never told him.
Why not?
Because when I'm in an active addiction, I don't ever admit it. I kind of keep it to myself like an addict anyways.
How do you
before
separate-
it becomes too big and out of control.
How do you separate your addictions? You got a heroin addiction, you got a gambling addiction. Presumably, you have kept the heroin addiction under control, and while that was under control, began a gambling addiction, if I believe what you're telling me. How were you able to control one and not the other?
It's not a matter of controlling it, Your Honor. As an addict, anything I pick up, I can become completely addicted to.
Right?
It's a matter of
And then,
fully putting myself into my steps and completely, thoroughly going over my past and becoming okay with it and getting myself out of the environment that I was in prior to that.
so you did that with the heroin.
Yes, I did when I was at Jean Marie and worked my steps.
Well, but you're telling me you haven't taken any heroin since.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so you weren't at Jean Marie for 4 years,
No,
were you?
I was there for 9 months, Your Honor.
So for 4 years, you managed to keep that at bay until you started taking the Suboxone. Imagine prescribing an addictive drug to an addict. So 3 years after you last took heroin or thereabouts, you tell me you developed this gambling addiction. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what did you do to address that?
It's what I'm doing now.
What did you do then to address it?
I didn't do anything, Your Honor, because I was so hurt from my mom and everything, and that's kind of what I just used to fill that void, because I didn't want to pick up heroin, as I had turned to gambling. Because like I said, as an addict, we do anything to try to fill that void. I just didn't want to pick up heroin at the time because I didn't want to die, so I found something else to latch myself onto.
Did you go to that psychiatrist as a result of the order back in 22 to have a mental health evaluation?
No, Your Honor, that doctor I went to on my own.
So now I'm sitting here and what am I supposed to do with you? What is there left to do with you that hasn't been done?
Your Honor, I'm taking the steps and actually addressing my past, and that's why I started the weekly counseling sessions with a therapist.
On the computer?
It is on the computer, but most of them are online now, and it's the same as if you sit in front of them in an office.
Does anybody know why all these places are so lazy?
It's COVID.
It's COVID. This is 2025.
I understand that, Your Honor.
You know, Mr. Cherry, why they're so lazy?
I can speak to my experience primarily as a family law attorney, that even now, a lot of psychologists and psychiatrist sessions are still done remotely. When you do like reunification counseling, you might do that in person, but even then, there's oftentimes a remote piece.
Isn't that, as a family law counselor, practitioner, isn't that the dumbest thing you've ever heard of?
I don't think it is as effective. You know, even from my piece, I say Zoom pre-trials are fine, but if I have to do a trial on Zoom, it's not good.
Is everybody, why are we all here? Why aren't I sitting in Florida doing this hearing and you sitting in California doing it?
It'd be fine with me, Your Honor.
I mean, I don't understand why, but I guess that's beside the point, okay? But this doesn't work.
It does, Your Honor. There was stuff I didn't address.
If it worked, you wouldn't be here, okay?
I might suggest, Your Honor, that sometimes repeated efforts are necessary with addicts, and furthermore, I'm not sure a dual diagnosis treatment regime has been tried yet.
Well,
it has. Okay.
I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a drug counselor. Unfortunately, I have to rely on psychologists, psychiatrists, and drug counselors, many of whom are in it for the graft, quite frankly. Many of these organizations exist to perpetuate themselves, to take more money, to perpetuate themselves. That's the way it is. So when I refer somebody for a mental health evaluation, maybe it's misguided, but it's my expectation that they, as a professional, would evaluate that person and say, there's mental health issues, there's drug issues, maybe it should be a dual diagnosis. Okay? That's what they're supposed to do. 75% of the time, they don't do it because they just don't care. Okay? But that's where you have to take responsibility for your situation.
I understand,
Okay.
Your Honor, and that's what I'm trying to do at the moment.
Okay, but you were here, when were you here, a month ago?
Yes, Your Honor,
And why did we delay that hearing until now?
because we had to get all the medical records and everything
Because-
else.
because of your
I was
cancer stuff.
irresponsible, yes, Your Honor.
Right. So as recently as a month ago, you weren't owning up to anything,
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
okay?
And that's, I've taken responsibility for it, and that's why I'm
I
trying to
don't- see, I-
take the steps to change it.
Well-
And that's the only way I know how, and that's why I reached out to the counselor.
Okay, but-
I started the Gambling Anonymous meetings and have restarted my steps on that, and I'm trying to dig into my past of where I missed so that I can take the steps. to
We're 8
become-
years in, you and I, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? So to take steps in the last month is insufficient.
Your Honor, I've taken steps the entire time, and that's how I even got the 5 years of sobriety.
Okay, but why were you lying to me as recently as a month ago about the cancer stuff?
Because I was still trying to manipulate the situation, and I realized that's not gonna help, and that's when I've admitted it finally and tried to seek help, and I've gotten baby steps on the way to get that help. And I've even blocked even talking to my mother because she's very abusive in what she says to me, and every time at night when she's drinking, she sends me those messages, and that's why I said even in counseling, I'm trying to get to the root of that, of why I even needed to fill that void again with something else. As I can tell you in prison, it's not what's gonna help me, because in there, none of them wanna
Listen,
get better.
I don't pretend that prison's gonna
No,
help
I
you.
understand that, and I'm just saying, I'm trying to take steps, and I wanna be able to make amends to those people, because that's what I know to do today. And that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to become the best woman that I can.
Okay, but manipulating the people closest to you is not the way to accomplish that.
I understand, Your Honor.
You understand, but you have to do more than understand. You have to take action.
And that's what I'm doing, Your Honor.
That's what you're telling me you're doing as you sit here today. All right, but you weren't doing that a month ago when you were here.
Correct, Your Honor. And that's all I can tell you is what I am doing today to right that situation. Because the past is already the past. I can't go back and change that. I can only change what's gonna happen tomorrow if it comes.
I don't expect you to change the past, okay? Mr. Cherry?
Your Honor, gabapentin is prescribed by my client's primary care provider at UH, not as been indicated by the prosecution. My client her understanding is that Narcan is a backdrop for any potential problem that would happen with Suboxone. That's not something that was given to her because of a relapse. Again, I'm going to underscore for the court that there has not been a positive drug screening for heroin. And the final thing I'll say is that deception is natural to an addict. This might be a profound case of that, but it just goes to show that she has work still to accomplish. And I believe that
But by that theory, there's no failure on probation, right? Or no failure that should trigger a more severe response than probation, right?
I believe that probation is the best place for her to get the help that she needs. She needs somebody looking over her shoulder, Your Honor,
Okay.
certainly.
I don't exist forever. My life is finite. My term is finite, okay? At some point, all anybody can provide for her is the opportunity to take advantage of what's out there. It's not up to you to implement that. It's up to her to implement that. If she doesn't want to implement it, then she's not going to implement it, regardless of what anybody says.
No, I think she does. I think that the relapse behavior, because I would consider this kind of a relapse, even if it isn't a relapse on heroin, is a part of recovery for a lot of people. and they have to fall back on their face again in order to say, okay, wait a minute, I have to go back and take the lessons that I've learned, maybe learn some new ones, and continue to work. And I think that's where Ms. Facefire is.
That may very well be where she is. That may very well be where the 50 people I have on probation right now test positive and relapse, okay? But the way you describe it, and I know you only represent Ms. Facemire, you don't represent all criminal defendants everywhere, but by the way you describe it, the only sanction, to use the nice terms of the legislature, is to continue on probation to provide another opportunity, right?
Yeah, I think that is way better to address addiction than jail time. I don't think jail time works.
Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. You know, sometimes it works. When I've sent people to prison before and then shocked them out, and then they've come through with flying colors. The reason is because they took advantage of what was out there and made the determination they were going to do that. Okay? Because I can't listen to somebody tell me who sits in that chair that relapse is just another bump on the road to recovery. Because sometimes it isn't.
That's true.
Sometimes the relapse puts them 6 feet under, okay? And there's no recovery.
That's true.
So the reliance on that, and I'm not making light of it, okay, but the reliance on that prospect doesn't really sit well, because if the person is not taking advantage and not putting the effort in, then it doesn't mean anything.
I think she has put effort in, Your Honor. I think if she had not, she might be 6 feet under. She might have tested positive for heroin with Ms. Newman. Certainly one of those things would have happened. She just hasn't done everything yet. And she has a big hole to dig out of because of her history.
Right. The history is the history, right? I mean, she's the one that said that what she's done in the past she can't do anything about, meaning her criminal activity, okay? That's history, right? And her history is her history. So how does she get to the point where she can live with that history and move forward in a productive way? Isn't that the key?
I would agree with that, and I would add that it's not just her criminal history. I think criminal history is in part based on her family history.
That's what I'm talking about, okay? She's got to understand it, figure out how to deal with it with the appropriate tools, and move forward productively.
I agree.
Okay, but that takes effort.
It does.
Okay, a lot of effort on her part went into manipulating Mr. Cameron, among others, that she had cancer. Okay, a lot of effort went into that to make sure that was covered up until the last few days, right?
It is hard to describe, and I don't know anything about Your Honor or anybody else in this courtroom, I'm going to assume a person who has not personally struggled with any of this. It's hard to describe to a person how an addiction hijacks your logic circuits, for lack of a better term, and focuses them on continuing to hide so that you can continue to live that life.
Hey everybody, I got ATX Alley on from Court Addict with ATX Alley. How are you, Alley?
I'm good, but now I got to figure out because I don't think I have the right mic on. So let me find the right mic. Hold on a second.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just go ahead and bring up.
Can you hear me okay? Well, you can hear me okay, right?
Yeah, everything's fine. Yep. So this case brings up the, if you're not taking heroin, how in the hell do you get Suboxone? I'm just saying, can I go to a doctor tomorrow and just say I'm thinking about taking heroin? Give me a prescription.
Okay, so this is where I come from, and obviously I'm not an expert. All I've done is I have lived it, but that's only one perspective. So if a doctor receives a phone call from someone who says, I am a former heroin addict, I've been clean and sober for X amount of years, I really feel like I'm about to use again, could you get me a prescription for Suboxone? I don't know what else I'm going to do. I don't think there's a doctor out there who wouldn't write that prescription for an instant. Now, that doesn't mean that that doctor should be her primary care for that medication. It means that they need to get her a medication right now to get her cravings and her away from even the thought of using. And then, so give her like 10-day, 30-day supply, and then tell her you got to get in with a clinic or a doctor who knows you to give you a better prescription. But giving it right away when somebody came to you and said, you know, I'm a former heroin addict, et cetera, like, absolutely, I'd write that prescription all day long. But that's me. I'm not a doctor.
Okay, but for someone like me who's never done anything like that, if I called up a doctor on a teleconference thing and I said, "Hey, I was a heroin addict and I feel like I need Suboxone," you would still write that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, they don't know you and they don't know the situation. Suboxone's not, especially at like the lower doses, like you could theoretically get high off of it. But that's not really what it's used for. Like you could misuse it. You could misuse a lot of things, but it's not going to give her the effect she wants. It's going to give her the effect of not wanting to use. Like I don't know. I wouldn't think that someone would ask for that if they were an addict, if they didn't want to quit. They would ask for something else. They'd ask for pain medicine or like, I mean, I haven't been able to listen to this entire case, so I've gotten bits and pieces. I remember her saying she was diagnosed with cancer. So that right there is an open door to kind of unlimited opiates to anybody if you're in cancer. Like a lot of doctors load you up with pain meds because it's super painful. That makes sense.
Okay, so what would keep?
That's not what I would do. I wouldn't go to a doctor and say, I want Suboxone for recreation purposes, is what I'm saying.
So
you could abuse it, but it's not a very great drug to abuse, especially if you're an addict. You're not going to get anything good out of it.
Okay, so what would keep you from selling it? What would keep you from calling up one of these telemed doctors and doing all this if you're on Medicaid or something? You know, so it wasn't a money situation. I'm saying if you're hard up for money, what would keep you from just doing it to sell it for someone to abuse it?
Because it's not that, I don't know. It's just not, I don't see it that way. It's not that profitable. It's not that great of a drug to sell or misuse. Like, I mean, there's so many other that are better and easier to get and more profitable. Like, that's just the last one I would choose from. I think she was legit asking for help. Like, I saw a lot of myself in this girl where I've been in that situation where I was like, this was like probably a year and a half ago. It was right after my car accident. We got into a really bad car accident. I was bedridden for like a day or a week or two. And it was also at the same time I was trying to come off of being on methadone altogether. And I was just like, if I don't go back to the clinic, I will use. I can feel it in myself. And so I think she did the right thing. I don't think she did it for any, like, for access to drugs or to sell it. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, is it possible? 100%. It's just the stupidest thing you could ask a doctor for, like, in that respect. She wouldn't even know how to tell him that she was a user. She could have just been like, if she lied about the cancer diagnosis, she could have lied about that and been like, I need oxy, load me up. So I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, well, and so
No, I don't know, Linus. Linus, like, yeah, I've been in recovery for 4 years, and there's been times that I'm like, okay, I recognize I'm at this point where I feel like I'm going to use, and I do everything in my power to get myself out of that mindset. And if that's calling a doctor and getting Suboxone and keeping her away from it, I applaud her. Like, I love that she did that. I mean, at least if she's got all these other outstanding addicts, like I said, I haven't listened to the whole thing. I know she's got a gambling addiction on top of her previous heroin addiction. So she's at least trying to treat something. She's definitely very lost.
Well,
super lost.
Well,
really hard.
Well, Donald brought up that her heart's in the right place. She donated all the money she scammed to charity. So
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. Or she said she.
I had heard that part, but
yeah, she said she did. She just didn't have a receipt for it. Certainly didn't go to gambling.
I don't like that. And obviously, like, it sounds like she's a compulsive liar, which a lot of addicts are. There's that old joke: how do you know if an addict's lying to you? Their lips are moving. That's a very that's a cliche for a reason. It's a very valid thing. So, Linus, yeah, I know she did it 4 years without Suboxone, and that's amazing. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do it forever without it. She recognized that she was going to use and made the right decision. And I hate people like piling on her for that. Yeah, she's a liar. She's got lots of problems, lots of addiction, but I see that is her one little saving grace out of all of this, is that she felt herself about to use and she did what she's supposed to do to prevent herself from using. That's my from my perspective, I think she did great on that. The rest of it, she messed up, I guess, but I don't know. I give her props for that. I really do.
Okay. And
Sounds like she was going through really hard times. She was gambling. That wasn't paying out because she obviously needed money. She thought, I could take this dollar and turn it into $2 if I go to the casino, and that didn't work. And so her whole life was crumbling below her. And instead of using, she decided to go on Suboxone, and that's amazing. And I love her
Okay.
for that. And that's really what I wanted to say.
right. Well, maybe I'm being cold and heartless about it because I think it's all just more part of the scam. But I also don't have that. I don't have that issue, and so the whole gambling thing to me is I'm going to try to go get make some more money so I can go buy some more drugs. That's how my head thinks about that. And so
that is very valid. I'm just saying that if she was using the Suboxone as a way to get high or sell, I mean, you can abuse it and get high off of it. I don't think that's what it was. There's so many other drugs out there that you could get that are better, and you wouldn't have to tell them you were a user. I don't know. I got mixed feelings about that, but I think she did the right thing. I don't know. It's weird.
Right.
I love that she reached out when she thought she was going to use and got the Suboxone.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm really happy about. I
yeah, and see to me, it's all part of the scam. It's all part of the it's all just building this house of cards, I guess they'd call it, to to build up more of what she's trying to scam people out of. So I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, and I ask you about it because I'm looking at it from someone who doesn't have that issue, and you could relate to her on some level. You could relate to her on, okay, I understand that urge, and so it makes a little bit of sense. It don't make enough sense. I watch these judges, and the judge hears the same thing over and over again, and no, I couldn't listen to the same story every day and come up with different conclusions. So. The judge has to look at people and learn them. And this judge obviously shows that he knows her and he knows her history. So he was able to kind of call her out on her bull because he knows more than that. We're watching a 30 to 40 minute clip, making decisions about her. And so.
Well, and she obviously has a problem with addiction in general. I mean, if she went from heroin to gambling, I mean, addiction is addiction, yes, but usually it's like, you're either a substance person or I don't know. That's not fair to say either.
Well,
she has an addictive personality, and she's got issues that she needs to work on that. That's what I'm saying.
Right. I think I'd asked you before, but I really don't listen. Well, what addiction? What addiction do you have now? What I'm saying, what did you trade your addiction for?
Yeah, you have asked me this, and I think it was like my answer was like court, like YouTube stuff is kind of what I've thrown myself into now.
Yeah. Okay. I remember asking because I remember not believing. Okay.
I've got more family here now, so I pay attention to them more and more active. Before, I didn't want to have anything to do with family. I didn't do anything. I didn't call people. I was just a hermit that called people when she needed money and needed to use, and that's what I did.
Okay, that's the best answer ever, Allie.
An integrated person.
That's the best answer ever. You're like I was a drug addict, and now I'm just a wholesome, kind person who, spends all my time with my family.
Yeah. Did you believe it?
No, I still don't. I ask you that because I think everybody's an addict of some sort. I think everybody's got, whether we call it our hobby or whether it's a full blown drug addiction, we all have our habits, we all have our addictions. And so whenever you say that you really haven't traded it for anything or maybe court, to me, I don't understand a court addiction like that. So to me, in my head, I'm like, okay, she just doesn't know what her addiction is yet.
No, my heroin addiction took place of a lot of things I used to do. Like I used to be really active in my family and friends. I used to go out and do things. I used to have hobbies. Like I used to crochet. I used to do things with my free time. Instead, my free time was solely used up with find money, find a dealer, get somebody to bring it to me so I can use so I don't get sick. And that was my life for 7 years. It was this horrible cycle. Wake up, find money, find drugs, use so I don't get sick. Wake up, find money, find drugs, use so I don't get sick. And everything else just didn't matter. I didn't do anything else. I didn't have a life. That was my life. So I have my life back.
Okay.
That's my answer.
No, it works, and you don't always have to have there doesn't always have to be an answer. Sometimes it's you don't know.
Yeah.
And
That is it. Like I have a fuller life now.
and there's a lot of times in our life when, like with me and Emily and dealing with our kids and stuff, to where we have to just accept that you don't always have to be moving forward. Sometimes just standing still is better than falling backwards or falling apart. Sometimes it's just we're not going to worry about trying to move forward. We're just going to maintain for the next 6 months to a year. We're just going to try to hold down what we got, and then we'll move forward. And so I can only imagine a lot of that's in that circle of addiction.
Yeah, I mean I feel this girl, like it seems like anything bad she can get addicted to, she is. So she needs some serious help. And like I said, forgive me, I wasn't listening to the whole thing, but I got bits and pieces. I hope if the judge does know her, that he does get her the help that she needs and gets her life back on track. But just specifically on this, her calling a doctor asking for Suboxone, I think is the one thing she did right.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. In a sea of bad decisions, that was a good one.
Right, and I think the doctor would probably, or the judge would probably do well to sit down with Kelly or Big Tiff for a few hours and talk about the benefits of telemed. If you're, he's an old guy. He's probably always just gone and seen the doctor. He's probably still seeing the same doctor he saw when he was a kid. He's probably going there, and the doctor's sitting there with a cigar in his mouth. Telling him he's doing good, and so. Mm-hmm. It's just an old-fashioned system. Whereas, like with now, I think even my wife has done a few telemed things and it's worked out for her. And she did it just plainly out of convenience. It was just easier. It was quicker. It was good to go there. So, Adam, you said she sounded real. Thanks for sharing part of your story. Absolutely. We have a lot of live streams called Court Addict with ATX Alley. I think is the name. It's been so long we don't know.
Yeah, I also have my own channel I'm developing, which is Addicted to Law. And I think my goal is to have my first videos, live streams done by the 25th of February, because that is my 4-year sober date. So that's my goal. Is I'm going to train myself up, figure out what the hell I'm doing, learn how to do it. And by the 25th of February, I want to do a premiere, because that is my 4-year soberversary. So I would love it if you guys are able to circle that in the calendar. I don't know what time. We'll figure out details later. And, if Bill's got to do a show that night, I'll reschedule it, but we'll figure it out.
So speaking of that, what does it matter, like the anniversaries for that? Is that just simply like, I've got some friends that celebrate their divorce date, it's the happiest day of their life. And so is it about the same as that?
It's just a date, and it marks the passage of time. Like 4 years is a big chunk of time, and I haven't relapsed. I haven't had any issues. So coming from where I was, I'm so happy to hit that mark. And it's about a month out, so that gives me a month and a half of training and figuring out what the hell I'm doing on YouTube. So hopefully I won't just start a channel without knowing what I'm doing like I did. But yeah. I calculated it today. I have an app, and on my app, it tells me the day, month, year, time, minute, second, my sobriety list. And I looked at it and found that my official, I've never really celebrated my anniversary day. This will be the first year I've actually acknowledged that this is the day. So yeah, 25th of February, 4 years.
All right. So, hey, Zoomy Mama, Big Tiff put up a link for Court Vibes' Discord. We've got a Discord too at American Courts, but Court Vibes has just a central location for everything you want to go to. I'm going to pin that message up at the top, so just click on that link and you can get over there and visit with her. Hey, Amanda Panda. Amanda Panda's here. We're all happy now.
Yay.
All right, we're gonna finish this one up, and then we're gonna go to Judge Perkins, and then I'm
gonna go eat. You cool with that? Or you want me to stick around for the rest of it?
I'll put you on mute, but just stand there and look in the corner. Just stay in the corner. All right, everybody, we're going to jump back into this one and finish this one up, and then we'll go to Judge Perkins.
Until you finally figure out how to come forward and be true to yourself.
Right. Part of figuring it out is putting the effort in to figure it out.
Yes.
And as you well know, some people do it. Some people do it quicker than others, but they do it. They don't do it because they went to an AA meeting and stared at a wall and it worked by osmosis, right? They put some effort into it and actually implemented in their lives what they heard, what they saw, what they learned. And it translated to them, and they continue to do it every day. Because if they didn't continue to do it every day, then they'd be sitting there, right?
Might I suggest, though, that
Go ahead.
when I was there in the rooms, and I watched many people come in with meeting slips, as I'm sure you are well familiar, having them signed by the secretary. And they would sit in the back, and they wouldn't pay attention, and they wouldn't participate, and they were gone, right? After 6 months or whatever period of time that they would do their thing, and you wouldn't see them again. There was a nice chunk of them. I'm not even going to say 20, 30%. They would come back after a period of time, sometimes on meeting slips and sometimes on their own. Because even though they're getting it by osmosis, as you said, they're getting something, a little seed planted. So then they recognize they have another problem, they come back. That is also part of the road to recovery. For some people, it is harder than for others.
I acknowledge that. I've seen that.
Yeah, I bet.
I've seen it over and over, okay? I've seen people succeed that I never thought would. I've seen people that just didn't want to and ended up on the other side of things, okay? But it takes that effort. But the question becomes, okay, so as a society, how long are we supposed to sit back and allow crimes to recur while we wait for this person to do what this person needs to do to not commit recurring crimes? Isn't that kind of the question for the system?
Can I ask a related question? Do you believe that were Crystal Facemeyer to go to prison for 6 months or a year or however long you decide, that she would come out and not still have the same problems that she does sitting here today?
No.
Maybe even worse.
Of course not.
So are we protecting society?
I don't know.
Delaying it?
I suppose we're protecting society for a period of time, right?
Potentially, but we're not really solving the problem.
It's not potential, it's 100% for certain, okay? Because if I sent her to prison for a year, then she wouldn't be out stealing crap out of people's cars for a year, right?
But if she comes out and she's got the same problem, then we might be back here, but our only chance to make that go away forever is to address the problem.
Right. I can't address the problem.
I understand.
I don't address problems, okay? People not you, but people mistakenly believe that I have actually some control over what criminal defendants do, and I have zero control. My only control is to house them if I choose to house them, right? That's all the control I have.
Or provide them services.
Well, we do that every day. I mean, we do that every day, all day. Probation, that's their job for 40 hours a week, is to facilitate services. Unfortunately, the system is set up in such a way that some of these service providers are frauds, but I mean, that's kind of human nature sometimes. A certain number of people are going to be thieves throughout their lives and take advantage of every situation, okay? And this is no different. Anything else?
Nothing else, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. I have reviewed the pre-sentence report, the psychological evaluation, and I have considered what the pastor has said, what Mr. Cameron has said. I considered what Ms. Facemeyer has said, what counsel has said, reviewed the victim impact statements. And I have considered the entirety of 29-29-11, 29-29-12, and 29-29-13. And as you said, Mr. Cherry, and we're here on the F5 theft and the F5 identity fraud. the initial term of community control on the 19 and 20 cases was by every definition that I could find a failure multiple times, which is why I sent her to prison. Now, I sent her to prison for a total of 54 months. You weren't here for that, I don't believe. But I sent her there knowing that I was going to let her out and put her on probation with the hope that the shock of spending several months in prison would provide some sort of jolt such that when she came out, that she would do what she needs to do to prevent coming back here again. But that didn't work either. Now, see, Ms. Facemeyer, you can tell me anything you want to tell me, and you've put me in a position where I can't believe anything you've told me.
I understand that, Your Honor.
That's just a fact, right? Because I'd be a fool
No, I know, but
if I believed what you said.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Please? When you did send me to prison, though, that was the best thing you ever did. Because if you would have let me out, then I would have done heroin and died. And by sending me to Jean Marie and being able to take that opportunity that you gave me, I've been able to get 5 solid years without using heroin or touching it. And I am sincerely sorry about lying and this gambling problem and everything else. And that's why I'm trying to take the steps to do the right thing and do what Alcoholics Anonymous has taught me right now and admit the problem and address it and try to make amends the best way that I can. And by a prison term, I can't make amends to those people. It's already hard enough with my record to even find a job that actually pays me enough to make those amends. And right now at this moment, with the treatment that I have sought on my own before even coming here, and the job that I have, I'm able to fully meet my expenses and pay those people back. And actually work on myself at the same time for those family things that have happened in the past to actually leave them in the past and not let them affect me as bad as they do today.
I'm going to schedule another hearing that will take place April 16th at 1 o'clock, at which time I'm going to implement a sentence of 180 days in jail. You better satisfy me with your progress in the next 3 months, or you'll go sit over here from April until October.
Understood, Your Honor.
You're going to continue with McNair, follow the recommendations, continue with Luttrell and follow the recommendations, no drugs or alcohol, screens.
Oh, Your Honor, real quick, too, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Dr. Matarelli's my primary, who I do
Right.
get the gabapentin monthly through, so I don't know if you want to list him as well on there.
I believe it's in the records, Your Honor.
I know.
Okay.
What's the gabapentin for?
That's been for my tremors. My mom has them too. It's genetic. It's why I shake so bad too.
He's your primary?
Correct, Your Honor.
I'm not including your primary or a Ahuja. Okay, I'm just, you can go to those people. 4 AAs a week. Maintain your sponsor. Sign releases for probation. Full employment. No contact with Archer or Snow. Restitution to Archer, 200. Restitution to Snow, 723.16. I don't think I've ever left a sentencing being more unnerved or uncertain about imposing a sentence before. So take that for what it's worth.
I really like this judge. I feel that if she went to prison for a couple of years, I think it would make her feel that she just hit rock bottom. her lawyer said that it wouldn't help society if she went to jail. It would. She wouldn't be out there stealing stuff. She wouldn't be out there scamming people. It's a good way to protect people from her, but, thank you. Thank you, Carol. It's good to have you over here. We're streaming Judge Fleischer right now. I don't have any inside information or anything, so I don't know when or if he's going to be back on YouTube. I hope so. I hope he does his own thing. But until then, we're going to stream on there. Make sure to always come out and check it out. Make sure to just be part of the crowd. We've got a lively conversation there, and you're more than welcome to always come in and see it. Linus and Fozzie and all the other moderators, they do their thing over there and they have a blast with it. And so we're going to go to Judge Perkins, and we're going to end the show with that one. So this is going to be our last clip for tonight. And here we.
Okay. Good morning to you. Remind me of your name.
Candace Ward.
Ward.
Lord,
Lord.
Not Ward. Board of Commissioner of Police say Ward, but it's Lord.
Lord. So, Miss Lord, are you on the docket today?
On November 25th, when me and my lawyer were here, you with Otto and Visual scheduled, because he had another trial today, but I just have a general question. Okay. Why would someone hand me personally, while I'm standing here, put February 10th? How can someone overrule you when you and my lawyer scheduled January 6th because he had a trial? Someone can think they can overrule a judge, just make a different February 10th, but
did your lawyer agree? Did your lawyer agree to that?
Yes, you two agreed.
To the February 10th?
No. On November 25th, pull up recording notes. You and my lawyer said January 6th, 9 o'clock, because he had another
Spell your
trial.
first name, please.
C is cat, A is apple, N is Nancy, D is dog, A is apple, C is cat, E is elephant. And last name Lord, and you want to really put my maiden name.
I have marked
C-Y-C-Y-K. That was just changed.
I have March the 10th as your court date. Hold on.
She just changed it.
Who changed it?
She did not.
She did not just change it. She
just gave me the paperwork. Because I got paperwork for February 10th.
Okay, what's going on?
Well, you want to see the paperwork I was handed personally in this courtroom?
But she's saying what are you saying? Your date is what date is supposed to be?
If you pulled your notes with the recording, you and my lawyer personally, because he had another trial, you personally said, okay, January 6th, 9 o'clock. But give me a second. I was standing here personally, whoever handed me that date, they changed it to February 10th. How can someone that types things up that same day?
I don't see that in here. I don't, you have the paperwork? I see on November the 25th that the trial date was scheduled for February 10th.
No.
This is what I'm saying. Let's see what you have.
The discussion with my lawyer, because Mr. Dupree had another trial. He's very busy. So you personally said, okay, January 6th at 9 o'clock, because he had another trial. I don't own a car.
I understand, I understand, but what I'm asking you is, do you have the paperwork saying that it was that day?
I had the
You said that
paperwork,
they
I
had-
got it at home, but I can come back down here.
Why
It's
can't we do
very
this February 10th?
irritating when people, what you say, they think they can overrule you.
Why is it February 10th? Why is it blocked February 10th?
You're doing a vacation administration.
No, I'm not going on vacation February 10th. It's supposed to be second through the 8th.
Let me see, because I think I
got the one for February 10th when I was personally handed on November 25th, when you and my lawyer personally, let's pull the video, made a deal saying, okay, January 6th, 9 o'clock, because he had a trial.
Judge. So that's why it's moved to March.
Call Dupree.
I didn't get an answer.
All right. We'll figure out. Are we ready on anybody? Let me get Attorney Dupree in here. We're waiting on a lawyer anyway. Let me get Attorney Dupree in here, Ms. Lord.
He's somewhere in the building.
We'll find him.
She tried to find him.
Mr. Applebaum, are you ready? All right. Well, what is you have an issue with, you want this done? I know you want this resolved.
I need this is not on my driving record.
This is not on your driving record.
And when you pull up your criminal history, that ticket shows up.
Yeah, that would be, but
that will ruin my disability.
It won't ruin your disability if it's just an allegation. It's not ruining your disability now. You're saying it would ruin your disability if you were found guilty of it, right?
I already proved to you 2 years of no drugs. I can sit around anyone and I thought I'd do nothing.
No, I'm not saying, I'm not saying that, Ms. Lord. I'm saying that you are, I know you want some resolution to this, but what is the issue? It's March. We can get it quicker than March. Can we get it in January? I want to speak to Mr. Dupree to make sure his schedule is.
Check with Dupree to see how his schedule.
Can we do not do the first week of March? It's my birthday.
Let me see if I can get you sooner. I'm gonna talk to Mr. Dupree to see his schedule. If his schedule is okay, we can get you in a couple of weeks. We just gotta give the officer.
Well, I did on November 25th. Your verbal speaking, whoever typed it out with his schedule in his computer was January 6th, but yet she handed me February 10th. How can she type anything she wants?
No, she's not typing anything she wants. She's not typing anything she wants.
She didn't listen to what you said.
Listen.
Yes,
If at most it was a misunderstanding, okay? She's not typing anything she wants. So if it was a misunderstanding, then that's what we'll call it, a misunderstanding. And we'll leave it at that. Now, what we'll try to do, what we'll try to do is we'll try to get Mr. Dupree in here and to find out his schedule, and we can see when we can, as soon as we can get some resolution.
I only have one question.
What's that?
If we can't get this, don't do March.
All right.
First week of March, that's my birthday.
Okay.
Someone's taking me to Chicago.
All right. Congratulations. All right. No, we'll try to do it sooner than that. All I'm gonna do is wait on Mr. Dupree to see how soon he can.
You know, every time
I thought you only had one question.
No, this is of that every time I get handcuffed in 35 years. First ticket I got, I was locked and they had to cut and save me, but yet they arrested me. Then I had another one with the school. I won that. Sterling Heights, let's go back 35 years with the major dope deal. I won that. It was dismissed. I'm getting tired.
Okay,
Every time I walk in, I'm getting tired of 9 Princeton putting handcuffs on me, and I'm winning. That's harassment.
I understand your pain. All right, let me take care of Miss Amanda Lee, City of Detroit.